In this video, we're going to look at using the OU blog tool. So as always, if you just turn the editing on and then you can add an activity or resource and choose the OU blog. So give it a name. In the intro section, we can add information on what we might want the students to do. We can also add any sort of additional materials, pictures and videos and things. In comments, we can ask them, we can allow comments, which is great, but remember that you'll only be able to comment on a blog if you can see it, so we'll get to those permissions about what people can see. So then we get to the individual blogs, and we have no individual blogs, which means that everybody posts to the same area, and everybody can see each other's posts in that one massive blog. So a sort of class blog is maybe the way to think of it. Then you have separate individual blogs, which you can see what each user is writing. And if it's separate individual blogs, only the user, which is the student, and the staff member will be able to see it. Students can't see each other's blogs when you use separate individual. Then you have visible individual blogs, which is a student's own blog with as many posts as they like, but also other students can see their blogs, so it's just a way of sharing the blogs. In this occasion, we are going to use separate individual blogs. And you get the option to show the intro when they post to it, so that could remind them of what they're asked to do. Again, you can ask them to add attachments to it and choose the maximum size of the attachments and the maximum number of attachments they can use. The advanced options, we don't really need to use any of these. Tags, again, we don't need to use. You could use tags if you have a certain criteria, but students might not always use them, and it's just that way of deciding if you want to use tags. Again, we can have a time period where we want to limit how long they can post from and how long they can comment. Again, most people don't use that. We can have grades and we can have ratings in blogs as well, but since it's only a dialogue in this occasion between the staff and the student, we don't really need to change any of these settings. We can then go into the common module settings, and what we want to do is in the common module settings is we want to set it up for either separate groups or visible groups. It doesn't really matter at this stage. This is just for the lecturer to be able to be able to see the students and filter them down, but I'll set it to separate groups and show you how that works. And if I hit save and return to course, we'll see now that this appears down at the bottom here of the example OU blog, and if I click on it, we can see that because we set up the groups, I can filter to any groups that are on my course and see the blogs from users in that group. But at this moment in time, there are no users on it. So what I'll do is I will log out and I'll log back in as a student. And I'll go to the blog and make an example post. So if I go new blog post, again I'm asked to input a title. It's first blog post. And if I just place some text in here, again we can add images and other things, we can expand it and do a bit more formatting. So that's quite good for the students. And if we had any tags, we could add tags in here. We want to allow comments because there's going to be a dialogue here between the student and the lecturer, so the students must allow the comments. And if we add a post, as we got our first post. If I log out and come in as student 2, and I scroll down, go to the example blog, new blog post, my first post, and again, just leave the comments as is, add post. So now if I log out and log back in as the lecturer, I go back to the course and I look at the example blog, I can see everybody that's posted, but when we did the separate individual blogs option, we could actually just filter it by each person. So you can see each person's post, and we can see that. We could also, if these guys were in a group, we could filter their group and we would only see that group. We can also use the participation by user, and we can if I go back and go to all participants, and I go participation by user, I can see how many posts each student has made and how many comments they've made as well. I can download this statistics. I can click for details, and I can actually download the post as well. If I download that, and I'll just save it here. If I open that up, hopefully, we'll see that we can see each post. It's not the neatest because it's in Excel, but it's a way of maybe keeping a copy of that information. And then if you had another post, it would be in each section. So if I come back and let's go back to the blogs. And if I, for example, take Stephen Page, the first blog that he's, and I've added a comment, I can then say add this comment. Okay, so now we can see that there's the first post by Stephen Page, and then there's a comment from me. And at this point, only I can see them. Other students couldn't see them. So if I log out and I log back in as student 1, so we see here that if I come into this, and as a student, if I go to the example, I can only see my posts. I can see that I've now got one comment here. So if I click that, I can then, I can't reply directly, but I can add an additional comment. So I can continue a dialogue with the lecturer through these comments. So I can continue a dialogue through the comments, and they've said maybe for my next post, so I can come back into the OU blog as a student, and I can add a new post. My second post. And if I do that and hit add post, we'll see now that we could have this continuous update from the student from point A to point B on how they might have progressed through the course. So that is how to use the OU blog simply for students and working with students to comment and feedback on their progress.